Shalom, call all y'all about Shem Shah. Shalom to the left. Now this video is going to go into how Jake always had that spirit on him to rebel against Esau. What you see going on now? And even though a lot of stuff set up, that same stuff gonna happen again on a high level though. Simultaneously, while you have certain people in our nation, they gonna go toe to toe with these Edomites. A lot of people gonna get wiped out, and a lot of people not. No, a remnant not, I should say. But this article, I was just scrolling down looking at some news and different little stuff. I seen this article, I wanted to make a lesson on it. Was a guy named Robert Smalls. It says, a slave who stole a Confederate warship and became a congressman. It ain't too much of a long article, so I'm going to read through the whole thing and then I'll pull a few precepts. So, it says it was the spring of 1862 when Robert Smalls, a 23-year-old enslaved man living in Charleston, South Carolina, was desperate to buy the freedom of his wife and children. The asking price was $800. And Esau fucking devil, because they had our people in these quarters and plantations and all this different stuff. And if you ever been down south, been to Florida, Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina, a lot of these plantations still stand to this day. Anyway, it said, I left out one place, Louisiana, that area, that's another place, that's infamous of it. It says he had money saved up since the age of 12. Smalls had worked odd jobs in Charleston, lamplighter, rigger, waiter, stevedore, foreman. At around the age of 15, he had found work on the city's docks and joined the crew of the ship CSS Planter. For every $15 he earned, Smalls was allowed to keep $1. The rest of the money went to his owner, which still the same shit go on to this day. It's just more modernized. You get paid, Esau get his cut, and then you get your little check. That's how it go. Now it says, Small tried earning extra cash on the side, buying candy and tobacco and reselling it at a higher price, but it was hardly enough. When he asked to buy the freedom of his wife and children, he barely had $100 to his name. He knew at that rate the task could take him decades. Small had to think of something new, something drastic. And I got a picture of the ships, and it's going to go into what he did with these ships. It says, unwitting bystander might have mistaken Robert Smalls, his wife Hannah Jones, for free slaves. The couple had met when Robert was 16, working in a hotel when Hannah was employed as a maid. They married, had 2 children, and lived in a private apartment above a horse stable in Charleston. Each day, Robert walked along to the docks and wharves in Charleston, eventually found himself work on the CSS Planter. But appearances of freedom were an illusion. Smalls and Jones had to give nearly all of their income to his owner, which is fucked up. But Esau gonna pay for all this shit. They ain't finna just skate into the sunset and build on rockets with SpaceX and fly up out of here and go to another planet. No. They ain't going down like that. It says, worse yet, the couple was constantly burdened with worry. Smalls knew that his wife and children would be stripped from his life on his owner's whim. He knew the only way to keep his family together was to buy them. It says, born in 1839, behind John McKee's house, Smalls had grown up as the family's household favorite, potentially because McKee's son, was his secret father. And it says, whatever the reason, which you look into this, John McKee could be a tear, or he could be a Jake through the spirit. I have to look a little bit further into that because I don't know too much about John McKee, but you had Esau laying down with the women of our nation, and then vice versa. You had the women sneaking in with the men because they wanted that BBC, and then they'll sneak out and be like they got raped or some shit like that. But that's another topic. I ain't gonna do too much on the weeks and the tears. But anyway, they say whatever the reason, Smalls did relatively limited housework, was allowed inside his owner's house and was permitted to play with the local white children. Small's mother watched her son being caught up and was afraid he would grow up without knowing about the horrors of slavery, because he basically was like a house nigga. It says, so when Smalls was 10, she dragged the son to the fields. He picked cotton, rice, and tobacco. He slept on dirt floors. He watched slaves in town be tied to a whipping post and lashed. The experience changed him. Since Small began to rebel, he protested slavery and started appearing more frequently in jail. Eventually, his mother grew concerned for his safety and asked McKee if Smalls would be sent to Charleston to work. The owner agreed. It was in Charleston that Smalls would discover the woman who became his wife, as well as a talent for selling. It says by the spring of 1862, Smalls was working aboard the CSS Planter, an old cotton steamer turned warship. It was in the midst of the Civil War. Smalls helped steer the boat, plant sea mines, and deliver ammunition and supplies to Confederate outposts along the coast. So you hear about a lot of these different wars and different events like that. More than likely, Jake was in the forefront, like with the Buffalo Soldiers and stuff like that. Some of my family members was the original ones, and my lineage just so happened to go back to that. And all of Israel go back through the house of David. But anyway, it says whenever Smalls looked out towards sea, he saw a blockade of Union ships bobbing on the horizon. The captain of the CSS Planter, C.J. Bellier, known for wearing a trademark wide brimmed straw hat, had a crew composed of multiple slaves. One day, another slave crew member grabbed the captain's hat while he was away and planted on Smalls' head. "Boy, you look just like the captain," he said. You know how Jake be. It says Smalls looked out at the ocean past Fort Sumter and toward the fleet of the Union ships in the distance. He had an idea. That's the guy right there, Robert Smalls. So Smalls knew he could steal the Planter. He knew the shipping routes, he knew the checkpoints, he knew the codes and signals to get past the forts, and of course, he knew how to pilot the boat. As the planter's wheelman, Smalls was basically the boat's unofficial captain. Which a lot of these companies that Esau run, they co-CEOs or whatever, they have Israel up in there. That's just how they do it, because Esau not that swift like that. They're not that creative. They don't have no salt, so to speak. Like, let me pull up the scripture before I read on. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 51, verse 19. It says, "Say the portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the form of all things, and Israel is a rod of his inheritance. Yahweh, the Lord of hosts, is his name." So Israel been forming stuff since way back then. All the different creations, whether it be musically, carpentry, building houses, vehicles, all this different stuff. All Esau like to do, he like to come in with paperwork and patent everything and all that other bullshit. That's what they do. They don't really be that creative when it comes down to stuff. Their creativity consists of using the war machine, the sword, which is their blessing. That's their creativity. Robbing and murdering and raping and shit. Esau get creative when he get in that spirit. Let me pull one more scripture too. It's the book of Matthew chapter 5, verse 13. It says, "Ye are the salt of the earth, but the salt hath lost its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under the foot of men." And for a period of time, we lost our salt. And then once we started getting that salt, like how they're supposed to, because even though our people still doing stuff throughout time, but now it's on a higher level, even in these catastrophic times, our people still inspire the whole planet. Even being in modernized captivity, we still inspire the whole planet. Everybody want to do what we do, sing what we sing. dress how we dress, what would we wear, think how we think, talk how we talk. That's why the scripture in the book of Matthew, chapter 5, and verse 13 says, ye are the salt of the earth. And a prime example of this story I'm reading right here. And him driving that ship, that Edomite, he wasn't driving that ship like that. He probably couldn't really drive it like that. He just was put in charge. Let me finish reading on though. It says, late on May 13th, 1862, the plan to return to Charleston from a 2-week trip. The white crew members were supposed to stay aboard after docking, but the planner was scheduled to begin another long mission the next morning, and the white crew was supposed to miss carousing and sleeping on land. They left the boat for a night out on the town, trusting their slave crew will take care of the ship. Because, they thinking Jake all docile and shit, and they ain't gonna do shit. Now it says it was exactly what Smalls had hoped for. It says around midnight, Robert slipped the skipper's jacket over his shoulders and ordered the other enslaved crew members to light the boilers at 2 a.m. The CSS planned to ease into Charleston Harbor. Smalls quietly directed the boat to a rendezvous point where he picked up Hannah, his children, and 8 other enslaved people. Smalls had warned his family in advance of the possibility that May 13th could be the fateful night. And Hannah later told a reporter that in his own words, the whole party had solemnly agreed in advance that if pursued and without hope of escape, the ship would be scuttled and sunk. It says, and they should all take hands, husband and wife, brother and sister, and jump overboard and perish together, which that was going on a lot during the transatlantic slave trade. Our people was jumping off them boats. They wasn't trying to be up on the Esau. They knew where we came from before we came over here. It says her husband was more terse. When she asked what would happen if they were caught, Small said, I should be shot. I said the crew intended to fight to the death. The boat was loaded with 200 rounds. 200 rounds of ammunition and 5 large guns, including the howitzer and a giant pivot gun. If cornered, they'd dynamite the boiler. It says moonlight glinting off the water. Smalls raising Confederate and palmetto flags. He pointed the boat at the open ocean. As the plane approached the first checkpoint, Fort Johnson, Smalls began to pray. Oh Lord, we entrust ourselves into thy hands. He sounded a signal on a steam whistle and was waved through. The boat slipped deep into the harbor. As the boat approached Fort Sumter, Smalls adjusted the captain's straw hat and leaned out the pivot house window. He had watched Captain Rayet past the fort dozens of times before. He had studied his body language, so Smalls stood on the deck, arms crossed, his face obscured by the hat's brim, and the night's darkness. Which, if you think about the story of Jacob and Esau, that's basically what Jacob did to get that blessing. At 4:15 a.m., the planter sounded the steam whistle again, according to a report filed by the Committee on Naval Affairs. The signal was blown as coolly as if General Ripley, the commander of Charleston's defense, was on board. The guards at Fort Sumter sounded the signal in return. All right. I says, the plan successfully passed 5 Confederate gun batteries once outside Fort Sumter's cannon range. Smalls lowered the rebel flag and raised a white bed sheet. The planner aimed for the Union blockade, seeing the Confederate ship hurtling in their direction. Sailors aboard the Union USS on with panic. It was dusky, and they couldn't see the surrendering flag. Opened her ports. Acting Volunteer Lieutenant J. Frederick Nichols, which I got some family members' last name is Nichols. It says, ordered the crew pointed to the number 3 port gun in the direction of the planter and was ready to fire when somebody on board cried, I see something that looks like a white flag. Said the command to fire was dropped. The group aboard the planter began to dance and sing. As the planter reached the blockade, Small stepped forward and removed his hat. Good morning, sir, he yelled. I brought you some of the old United States guns, sir. Said within minutes, the stars and stripes were flapping high from the planter's mast. I'll just read a little bit of this. I was gonna read the whole article, but you want to check this out. Just see exactly where it's at. It says Smalls quickly became a folk hero, and each one of the generals in our army had displayed as much coolness and courage as Smalls did when he had saluted the rebel flag and steamed past the rebel fort by the sign of rebellion without being among the things that were passed. The New York Daily Tribune wrote, Navy Admiral S.F. DuPont would call Smalls superior to any who have come into our lines. And that's Jake, man. Our spirit, Israel, Yasser Ali, Prince of the Power. We always had that fiery spirit on us. And for a minute, our people were asleep. And now you got men around the planet waking up. And mainly what really matters who waking up is the elect. I ain't gonna read on no more. Because, they put a bounty on them and all this different stuff went on throughout history. It's a good quick history lesson you can go into. You want to check it out. Just to show how people was up in the ranks and running stuff. We weren't always just in captivity. We found ways up out of it, end up on top, and cause some shots. Now, on this last go round though, going to it. You might have to look it up on the apocrypha. And this is why these Edomites, Esau, the so-called white man, want the world to end so fucking bad and explode because they know this gonna happen. Now, that's in the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 6, verse 9. It says, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. And they know it's our time to start ruling this planet in the righteous manner. And if you ain't familiar with the story of Jacob and Esau, it talks about how Esau came out red as a hairy garment all over, and how Jacob was a plain man. The characteristics of Jacob basically dwell in the tents. When you look at our people still to this day, they have parties, barbecues, little get-togethers. They set up tents. Esau hunting ass, he like to go out in the woods and go camping and shit and kill every damn thing. But that's his spirit though. Said Esau was a video. Let me get that real quick. Pull some pictures to the edification. It says, go back to it real quick, King James Version. It's the book of Genesis, chapter 25, verse 27 says, and the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter. Go to this cunning hunter real quick. I'm just gonna type it in just for theatrics. Let's see what it pull up. Oh shit, what do you know? I just type in who is a cunning hunter, and this is what you got all over the fucking internet. Hunting lions and shit. Rhinos and shit. That's Esau, man. Esau can't escape. I said the word wrong. Esau can't escape his nature. Just like we can't escape our nature. Because it's natural for us to be a certain way. It go all the way back to Jacob and Esau. Because even when I was a little boy, I used to build tents. I ain't never know why. Anybody showed me how to build no damn tents. But I was always building them. Now, I'm going to type in something else. trying to type it in and look up something on the tents when they trying to show me tents for sale and shit. I ain't gonna dig too much on that. You get the picture. You see how Esau carries himself. It's some of our family members and relatives that we may know this past weekend set up some tents to build something and celebrate something. Even this past, what it was, Memorial Day, who had the tents out? Let me go back to it one more time. It says, and the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man, dwelling in tents. And that's what we just sent from. And Esau know the scripture right here in 2nd Ezra. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning that follows. Now, what's going to happen? Simultaneously with all this stuff going on, riots going on, wars and rumors of wars. You know, to the book of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 6. You should hear wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled for all these things that's going to pass, but the end is not yet. It ain't happening just yet. Read on some more. Verse 7 it says, but we're at the end of this age, man. If people think America's going to keep going on for the next 50, 100 years, whatever, they don't lost their fucking mind. Look out of here. It says, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places, and that's what you're seeing. The family got the food shortage, people going to the what's the name of the little stuff? The little food banks and stuff. The food pantries to get food lined up. You got pestilences going on, people getting sick. Earthquakes hitting every damn way. That's what you see, man. Locusts and shit flying out all over the damn place. And while all this happening, these Edomites pushing their agenda so they can bring forth this mark of the beast. That's what it's all going to lead to. RFID chips so they can track people. Monitor exactly where everybody at. They can't exactly monitor everybody just yet. They trying to, but they need to implement that chip. Whoever overcomes and don't take that damn chip, that's what you got to look forward to. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 12. It says, him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my power. And he should go no more out, and I will write upon him the name of my power. And what's the Most High name? Hey, if you don't know by now, you better start learning. It says, in the name of the city of my power, which is New Jerusalem, which comes down out of heaven from my power, and I will write upon him my new name. When it's talking about that city coming out from heaven, you have people there draw, they had these little images. Let me type it in real quick. Which are some nice images, but that's not what it's talking about. You have images like this, and they say, I saw New Jerusalem descending from heaven. That's not what it's talking about. Well, I'm going to go into exactly what it's talking about. Because for us to be a pillar, that will mean we will make up the structure of the temples as men. They ain't talking about no actual building. Scripture says that the Lord dwelleth in temples not made with hands. And he ain't talking about no temple, no actual building. He's talking about putting a spirit in the men. So yeah, images like this right here. Here you go, right here. It says, and I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven like a bride beautifully dressed for her husband. Which ain't talking about no actual gold city coming down. It's talking about the elect coming down. Let me go into that in the scriptures. once this war kick off, because yeah, we got riots and shit going on, all that little shit. Once this war kick off and these countries shoot these nukes, hey man, that riot shit ain't gonna mean shit. People gonna look up, hear them horns and shit going on, get cell phone alerts. You might see something on the internet if it's still up. The only way you really gonna make it out of it is, like the scripture say right here, it's in the book of Matthew chapter 24, verse 31. It says, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end to heaven to another. And that's the only way you're getting up out of here. And simultaneously, once all that take place, because it's gonna be by a ship. Or ships, I should say. It's in the book of Revelation, chapter 15, verse 2. It says, let me pull up the full page version, that way you know, just read that little clip. Now it says in verse 2, and I saw as there was a sea of glass mingled with fire, and then they had gotten a victory over the beast and over his image and over his mark, which is the RFID chip, which they about to implement very soon and make mandatory. It says, and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, having the hearts of Yahweh. And they sing the song of Moses, the servant of Yahweh, and the song of the Lamb, which the Lamb is Yahushua, for the people that have a problem with the New Testament and want to be Old Testament only. You can't have the old without the new and the new without the old. It says, saying, great and marvelous are thy works, Lord Yahweh Almighty. Just and true are thy ways, now King of saints. Who shall not fear thee, O Lord, and glorify thy name? Now Most High, hey, he's going to get some respect on his name. People going to know. They're going to know that name. They're going to know who delivered the people from out of that destruction around this whole earth, and who helped bring forth them. It says, for thou only art holy, for all nations shall come and worship before thee, for thy judgments are made manifest. Now, the judgment's going to come from him putting a spirit on these different leaders around the world to launch these damn nukes over here. And then simultaneously, while that's going on, you're going to have a battle over there in the valley of Jehoshaphat going on. And they're going to be going against each other. And then they're going to turn and fight Yahushua and the angels. And this stuff's about to take place, man. People talk about the story of Egypt, how Moses led people out through the Red Sea and all that. This story is going to supersede that on a high level. And it was already written before time. It just got to manifest. Now, once the elect get their crowns and, all the different stuff up there, up in heaven, or up in the upper atmosphere, wherever Yahushua and the angels end up being positioned at, they're going to come back down, and the people that's left over, the different little rulers that go into the bunkers, like the elites, because the elites, they're going to escape. They know what's coming. They're going to go into these bunkers, these little underwater cities, and upper atmosphere space stations or space hotels, and hide out like some little couch while all this stuff go down. So the book of Revelation, chapter 21, I'm going to start at verse 2. It says, and now John saw the holy city, New Jerusalem. And people, like I said, they'll see that it's going to be a literal city just fall down from the sky. No, that's not what it's talking about. It says, coming down from Yahweh out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. I have to read on some more because it let you know what it's saying. And it says in verse 3, it says, and I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of Yahweh is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and Yahweh himself shall be with them, and be their power. and your house shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. And there shall be no more death, neither sorrow, nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. And that's what's about to take place. Because a lot of people, they still mourning, in pain, crying, full of sorrow, death everywhere. So this ain't came to pass yet. I'm going to just end this off with this last scripture. I don't want to stretch this video out too long, because I know a lot of people have a short attention span. I just want to get to the main points and share that article that I seen. In the book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 18, because simultaneously when the saints come down from the upper atmosphere, they're going to take the kingdom. See, back then, the guy, Nat Turner, when he read the scripture, he was thinking about it, was talking about that time frame then. That's why they had the rebellion to do what they did. But this time frame, the saints, the elect, got to be patient and wait on Yahweh Shah to make his move, which he definitely moving if you've been reading the scriptures and watching the news, and orchestrating everything from the spiritual realm, and making it manifest on the physical. That's in the book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 18. It says, "But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever." And that's what's going to happen, man. And this one more scripture that's just popped in my mind I want to go into. In the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 10, it says, "He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints." Hey, Esau know where he's going at, man. It's sad to say a lot of our own people can't even see them being up under us, but I can see it, and I know other I can make it see it. And that's what's going to happen, man, through the Spirit. Yahweh Shah. And he going to orchestrate it. All we got to do is be patient, let him do what he do. Keep the faith, continue to practice the commandments. Like the scripture say, whosoever keepeth the commandment shall feel no evil thing. So you don't really have too much to worry about. Esau going to do what he do. He's going to make his move. Going to roll on certain people. Grab certain people up. Just keep in mind that at the end of every situation, Yahweh got the last say so. Shalom.